of hard work in today's class. We're going to have a look at getting the glutes to work, but first of all, we want to get rid of any tension through the back of the body or into the hips. So we're going to start sitting against something for a roll down. I'm going to sit on something just because it makes it easy. Might as well make life easier. So we're going to sit right against the wall with the back of the hips. So you can kind of, if you find it difficult to stay in position, you can sort of put your feet together to help you, because we really want to try and get rid of some tension and lengthen through the back of the body. So make sure you get your hips back, you've got your rib cage back. If you can, get your shoulder blades back. If you can keep everything there and get your head touching, that's fine, but don't lift your chin, remember. So it doesn't matter if your head's not actually on the wall. So I want you to pull your chin in, pull the crown of your head over, and just start with a pretty standard roll down. You're trying to move bone by bone through the spine. Don't forget you can stop and breathe, don't hold your breath. Really focus on that chin in and bringing the crown of the head over. Now this is really nice because you can feel what your body is doing. If it's trying to get away, push your hips back into the wall. You're going to uncurl up back into the wall. You really want to use that wall to help you. Obviously you can't feel your neck against the wall, but just imagine it pushing backwards rather than lifting your head. Now, you can add a bit of tension through this, but this is very much dependent upon how it feels to you and the fact that you understand you're not trying to pull, you're not trying to make it stretch, you're trying to help. So your chin has to stay in the whole time. Doesn't change what we're doing position-wise. Keep your chin in. As the crown of your head comes over, your rib cage stays in. So I like to keep my hand there to remind me. And then all I do is apply a tiny bit of tension, more of a lengthening, definitely not a push down, more of a lengthening. Pulling the chin in and just keeping a little bit of tension against that to help me as I'm just rolling off the wall. Now when I come back up, I keep my rib cage in, I keep a little bit of tension against that, so I'm kind of pushing against it to come up. And that actually really gives you a little bit more of a stretch. But like I said, it is gentle, okay? You're not really pushing your head, and it's not down. You're trying to sort of hook onto the back of the skull, really. So you're not really pushing the head down, you're trying to pull it. You're trying to sort of lengthen over, if that makes sense. It's not straight down, it's up and over. So make sure you're being nice. And try to move bone by bone, keep chin in. And then we're going to push backwards, keep a little bit of tension there. So you just need to use the muscles a little bit more to get that lengthening, curling and uncurling. So let's just do a couple more. You don't have to do it with the hand there, but I think it does give you a little bit of a nice stretch. Make sure your hips stay against the wall. Even as you push back up, don't let your back arch, don't come off the wall. And like any mobility, move around a bit. So if you think, oh, that's nice around my shoulders, then you just want to move your head, move your shoulders, feel that you're releasing off a bit. So we're going to do, from there, we're going to come into a cat stretch. So it's kind of a similar thing, isn't it? You were rolling down, we're going to lift up instead. So it's kind of a similar thing. Try and find different areas of your back to actually lift up. So when you do this, don't just lift it all, don't do it without thinking. Try and draw up between the shoulder blades. So those areas, when you were rolling down, if you were thinking what's tight there, what's tight a bit lower, they're the bits to try and lift now. So sort of bottom of shoulder blades for me with some tension there, and then release off. And again, really take your time, think of lifting up. Once you've got into an area that's tight, remember, you can move backwards and forwards a little bit. So try and move the bit that you are stretching. So don't lift up here and then do loads of hip movement. Lift up and then try and move in and out of the bit that you are trying to stretch. Keep breathing. If you move really nice and slowly, you'll probably find you can move a little bit more than you thought. So keep working into those restricted areas. It should be getting a little bit easier. And then from there we're going to go into a sort of lunge position. So remember, you can put something under your knee if you want to protect your knee a bit, that's fine. The important thing here is to tuck your bottom under, so it's that little movement, that tuck. So just tuck under, you should be able to feel that going down from your hip into your leg. And all we're going to do is a tiny movement. You can see that I've just shifted forward and back. It's absolutely tiny. So it should be almost that people can't see it. It should be that small. It's like a secret little movement. Just so you can feel that change in your hip, yes? Feel that little bit of extra stretch. So no bouncing, keep your bottom tucked under. Now I want you to ease off with that tuck just a little bit and come forward more. So you're slightly tucked under, so you'll feel that stretch. It's not quite as strong, but you should feel it once you come forward, come into that stretch. Lovely. And we're going to release off, and we're going to do the other side. So first of all, tuck your bottom under. And you can feel that stretch. And then we did that little tiny movement backwards and forwards. Tiny movement, but you can feel that. And then we're going to, got that tuck under, but not quite as much, and ease forward into more of a lunge. And you should be able to feel that one. So you've got one more stretch, and we're going to do a little bit of hard work. See if we can get the glutes to work. We'll work a bit harder. Okay. So one more stretch. So this one again, still keeping the cushion if you need it. One leg on there, you're going to try and stretch the other leg out. And can you see I've turned my foot to the floor? So what you're going to do is slide that leg out. If you feel a bit precarious there and not balanced, put your hands down in front and slide that leg away until you can feel a stretch in the inner thigh. So be nice. Try and keep the sole of your foot on the floor. And breathe. And be careful. Don't force anything. So with your hands on the floor, you're a little bit more stable because you don't want to slip and hurt yourself. Keep trying to push the outside edge of your foot into the floor. Okay. Drop that leg, pull it in and swap over. So you're kneeling, other leg goes out, push the sole of the foot into the floor, slide that leg away until you can feel a stretch. Keep pushing the sole of the foot, the outside edge, into the floor. Keep breathing. Lovely, and relax that. Okay, and we're going to come to standing. So we're going to try some different types of squats and hinges, and we're going to try and fire up your glutes a little bit more. So the first one we're going to do is think about lining ourselves up. So try not to be forward here. Try and bring your hips right back so they're over your feet, and let your feet sink down into the floor. Relax your shoulders. You're going to try and do the hinge. Now remember, the hinge is, remember, not dropping your knees or going forward. It's actually sitting backwards. So it's a push back. It's where your legs join your body. You're actually just trying to push backwards. It's that is the hinge, that first bit. There. So push backwards. Push the floor away. I want you to really get that feel of sitting back. Now, there is a way you can test this, is to try and do it near a wall. Don't knock yourself out though. try to think of sitting backwards. So you can see I'm not really travelling very far forwards. If you look at where my head is, can you see my head is kind of still over my feet? So it's very much a sit back. So think about where your head position is. Can you see that I'm not forward over here? So I'm quite upright. And then to come back up, I want you to push the floor away. So sit back, push into the floor as you're going to tip backwards. Hold that position, push down into the floor. So we're trying to be nice and strong. We're trying not to forward bend. The majority of people will do this. Look how far forward my head is. Yeah, so think about what you're doing. Stick your bottom out, push into your feet. Push the floor away. See if you can do 3 more. Sit back. So if you can see yourself in a mirror, or film yourself even, so you can really get a good idea of how you are doing this. And come up to standing. Now the next exercise, we're going to try 2 different ways. Remember, when you're trying to correct things, sometimes you do things that aren't normal, yeah? That you're thinking, why would I do that? But it can actually help. So we're going to, first of all, do a wide squat. So when I say wide, look how wide my feet are, yeah? So people do wide squats, they're like this. That is not very wide, yeah? Wider than your body, wider than your shoulders. The first thing I want you to do is think about what happens if you can feel with your feet. Yeah, most people in this position roll in a little bit, yeah? So I want you to push again the outside edge of your feet into the floor. The other thing that tends to happen as people roll in is their knees drop in. So again, I want you to feel as your feet outside edge push into the floor that you are rolling your legs out. Now the other thing that people do is that they stick their bum out. So you're going to push with the outside edge of your feet, roll your legs out and point your tailbone down to the floor. Now what I want you to do here is not stick your bottom out, but push your knees out. Most people will drop in a bit. Try and think of rolling your thighs backwards. Now push the ground away. So I can see bottom sticking out. So I want you, can you see, you want to try to keep your bottom just going up and down. Can you see that? Rather than going backwards. So it's quite difficult, isn't it, to keep that bottom in. Push into the floor. Now, most of us have weakened some of the muscles around the glute, which means our knees are working harder. So this is where that little cheat comes in, and this is not something you would do as a perfect movement. This is to help fire the right muscles. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit back as best we can into that one, which is more of a sit down, isn't it? Yeah? Then I want you to round, tuck your bottom under and round your lower back. one more. Oh yes. So, try to keep your tailbone down, push your knees out. Try not to stick your bum out, try to push your knees wide. Try to tuck your bottom under now and tuck round your lower back, just your lower back. Now push the floor away. And again, see if you can go wide, round, push the floor away. Wide, round a little bit. So not the whole body, literally just your lower back, tuck your bum under. Now push the floor away. You should start to feel your glutes are really firing now. Try it again. Down, push into your feet, round a bit, push up. Come down, tuck under, push. Can we do two more? Take it wide, tuck, push. Good. One more. Take it wide, round and tuck, and push. Take your feet in now. Keep squeezing your bottom. Push into your feet. Can you feel how much stronger you feel? How much more stable? Yeah, so for a lot of us, this is quite a weak area, which leads to hips being able to just go forward, or it leads to tailbones lifting. So see if you can practice that one. We've got one more bit of hard work for you. Come down onto the floor. So from here, we're going to come into a bridge and we're going to do similar to what we've just done. So when we do this bridge, it's a strong bridge. It's a push into your feet, it's a squeeze of your bottom. But we're going to tuck the bottom under a little bit and then we're going to lift up. And we're just going to see if we can get a stronger glute contraction. So it's not perfect movement, it's just helping us a bit. So before you move, do a tiny little tuck. Squeeze your bottom. Now push and lift up. At the top, hold that contraction and now gently just pull your front of your rib cage towards your hips so you're firing your core a bit more. Hold it, it's nice and strong, isn't it? And come down. So same again, give me a tiny tuck. Squeeze your bottom, push into your feet, lift up, hold it. Now pull your rib cage towards your hips. Hold that. And down. Again, think about pushing into your feet. We've got two left. Tiny tuck of the hips. Push into the feet, squeeze your bottom. Pull your rib cage down, hold it. Nice and strong. And down. One more, tiny tuck. Squeeze, push. Rib cage pulling down, push into your feet. Everything working hard. And come down. Lovely work. Now we're going to take the arms wide and turn your palms to the floor. So make sure you're happy with that. Make sure you can keep your shoulders back. Turn just the arms. Take your feet and knees together. And we're going to try and bring our knees over chest. Now if you struggle with this, a handy tip is to put a pillow or a cushion under your hips. So it tips your legs back over your chest. So it protects your back. Try and keep your legs together and we're going to go from side to side. So the bit that's rotating is not your lower back, it's higher. It's in the rib cage area. That's the bit we want to twist, not your lower back. And this is why the cushion can really help. So if you're tight anywhere around your rib cage, around your shoulder blades, get yourself a cushion. So you might only want it like I've got it just under the back of my hips now. You might only want it there. If you take it higher, it will tip you more. Try to keep your legs together over the chest. Don't go to the floor unless that is really easy for you, but you are trying to keep both legs together. push your hands into the floor. See if you can get that rotation right up around, higher than the waistline, up around into the shoulder blades, up into that thoracic area. And then just bring the knees into the chest. If you want to extend the legs, you can, or keep them bent, it's up to you. Lovely.